Welcome back, everyone. I'm Straatien, and this is the Division 2. If you enjoy the content, consider subscribing to the channel where we do news, reviews, live streams, and I cover Division 2 content. Besides YouTube, you can also find me over on Twitter. That is at straatien_tech. And you can also find me on Twitch, twitch.tv/straatien. I usually stream on Saturdays, usually from 11 a.m. Mountain Time to around 2 to 3 p.m. So today we are just going to go over, I'm going to give some of my thoughts on the state of the game that happened today, this morning on 8/26. So the first thing that they started off with was kind of just the general bug fix talk. And Johan came on and talked about the blue screen. I believe this issue is just for PlayStation. I don't know if this is a console issue as a whole. Let me know below, because I've heard kind of mixed reviews on it, mixed opinions on it. So Johan came on, and unfortunately, I don't think this was necessarily a good wording decision. I respect what he was trying to say, but the way he said it was just a little bad timing, a little off. So he mentioned that the blue screen will be in TU11 fixes, but it is in fact not actually fixed. So they're putting it in there, and they have reduced the amount of blue screens, but they have not technically fixed it. That was kind of where the bad wordplay came in a little bit there. They also mentioned that a new exotic is going to come with Skyscraper. This is good. This is to be expected. So it'll probably be on the top level, the level 100, I would imagine. So I hope that's not their only course of replayability, is just grinding for an exotic, because we've seen how that works with raids. And while it does work to an extent, they can't be sticking with that same blueprint. So we can only hope, and we will know a lot more next week. Johan then talked about TU11 fixes, went over some basic ones. They said that there is going to be a huge list, as I would imagine, as there usually is, when they actually publish the TU11 paperwork, if you will, online, that goes over everything, all changes, everything, all this specific write-up. But they did mention a couple. They wanted to mention a couple. So they said Striker Set will be fixed, which is awesome. It's been out for a long time now, right? Quite a while. And it's always been bugged. It's always been broke. So they're finally fixing that. So that's good. They said that the cost of SMGs are going down. Apparently one of the materials to craft and I don't know if it's craft and recalibrate or just craft. One of the materials apparently has been off. Like it's been costing people a lot more to do anything with SMGs. So that is now fixed. And they also mentioned fast traveling from New York to Washington. I assume that's vice versa. I've never had that issue, so I don't really know how that worked. Like if people were having issues traveling one to the other and to the other back, or how that works. So then for the majority of the show, honestly, Nikki came on and talked. The first thing he mentioned and the first thing he said is that they have not made changes, no matter how hard that is to believe. So the first thing he wanted to clear up is that devs have in fact not been making changes to RNG and loot and all this stuff, no matter how hard that may be for players to believe. Now, I personally don't believe that. I don't think Nikki is lying. I think they are just unaware of how the changes they make affect the algorithm and the coding for the actual game. So when they're coming in, what I mean by that is when they're coming in and they're doing like the maintenance days, when they're changing stuff and they're doing maintenance, I think they are changing stuff like RNG, loot drops, targeted loot, percentages, probabilities, RNG. I think they're changing these things, but they don't really realize it. So I don't want to say it's intentional to what they're doing, but I don't know. I'm kind of mixed on that one. So I think obviously from what we've seen, there definitely has been changes. No matter what they want to believe, there's been changes to RNG. Loot quality's been getting crappier and crappier. It is what it is. Why that's happening, I'm not quite sure. So the next thing he talked about was skill tier. So this was kind of the introductory to the rainbow loot. So the first thing that he kind of wanted to mention with that was skill tier. And what he said is that, and this is news to me, probably news to a lot of people I would assume, that the skill tier is in fact a number. So when we see the skill tier, we are seeing just that, just skill tier. But this apparently is a percentage. When you peel off that skill tier name, you would actually find a statistical or quantitative percentage. So that number is why the secondary attributes are crap for people sometimes. So when you look at those secondary attributes and maybe they're only sitting at like 30-40%, everyone's like, well, this isn't 60%. Well, what they were doing and what they weren't really telling us is that the skill tier is a percentage, which is just such a stupid set. I don't even know why they would do that to begin with, honestly, because it's a very black or white, off or on, yes or no thing. But with it being a percentage, it does impact your secondary attribute. That is what was happening, at least with skill tier issues. So they will be fixing that. They are going to be changing the skill tier to a non-percentage. It sounds like it's just going to be what it should be, a simple on or off, yes or no. Thus increasing the percentages, or the percent rolled on secondary attributes on skill-based items. That's good. So then they went into the PowerPoint. First thing I want to mention about this, and they mentioned it kind of towards the end, but I'm going to throw it in the front here, is that this will be on future loot. So the only thing that's going to be changing with the gear that we all have now is the gear mod slot changes. But everything else that they talked about in the PowerPoint is going to be on future loot. So, pick your poison in a sense. Some people are going to like this. Some people are actually going to hate it. It is what it is. Changes have to be made. They went into it and showed 12 attributes. There's 12 attributes total, and there's 4 per class, which gives us a 33% roll chance on those attributes. So the first big change that's going to happen is the first secondary or the first random attribute on gear will match the primary attribute. If your primary attribute is a red, your first random secondary attribute will 100%, no ifs, ands, or buts, also be a red attribute. The second one will be randomized though. They showed a percentage, I think it was like 9.1%. So the chances of getting all 3 red, for example, are still going to be pretty low in reality, but it's going to be better because at least now that third attribute or second random attribute, however you want to look at it, we just need to recalibrate that one now. We don't have to worry about recalibrating 2 and getting these stupid rolls and just having all this gear that you can't potentially use. So this is better. This is a step in the right direction. I am a fan of it. Like I said, it's not going to please everybody, but it's good progress. It's progress that needs to be made. Then they talked about gear mod slots. Those are now going to be generic, and like I said before, this will affect you when TU11 drops. So what's going to happen is you're going to notice first thing when you log into TU11 is you're going to find that all your attributes are going to be off your gear, which really doesn't mean much now, right? Because it's like two or three gear mod slots now in total. Those will be off, and the gear mod slots will be generic, so they're going to be gray. So you can put any color that you want on there. This is good. This kind of goes back to what I was just talking about with the changes with the first and second random attribute. This also makes it one thing less that you have to worry about in order to get that god rolled or that perfect blend, that whatever kind of gear you want, whatever attributes you're looking to get out of it, you now have one less thing to worry about with the gear mod slots being a gray generic, and you can just put whatever color you want on there. They mentioned resistance gear mods. The values of them are going to be doubled, and there's also going to be 2 new gear mod, I believe defensive gear mods coming to TU11. So that's good. And that was essentially most of the show. The rest of it was just kind of recap. New manhunt started yesterday. The hunt for Hornet has begun. I believe they said Hornet is going to be in Tidal Basin, if I remember hearing them right, but don't quote me on that. They showed a video of the healing Hornet trap. They did also mention, just like last season, it will be available obviously if you hunt down and kill Hornet. The other option, they said it will be in game later. I would imagine what they're probably going to do is the same thing they did this current season, to where they put, I think it was right around watch level SHD 50. They allowed you, if you hadn't already, to go do that final hunt for the season 1 bounty boss, however you want. I can't remember her name. So I would imagine that is probably what they're going to do for this next season as well. So I would expect it to be available pretty quickly once season 3 starts. It's just going to depend on how fast you build that SHD level. So that was about it. They went over agent highlights, blah, blah, blah. I'm not going to go into those. So there's nothing there, unfortunately. They had a really cool one last week, not so much this week. I'm going to stop the video here. Thank you so much for joining me, everyone. Let me know in the comments how you're feeling about the changes that Nikki talked about to the attributes and to the rainbow gear. How do you think this is going to impact, whether that be positive or negative, towards future roles in the Division 2? Thank you so much for joining me, everyone, and have a wonderful day.